Hey, soccer fans, welcome back to the Sons of a Pitch, an American soccer podcast. We continue our 2020 team previews tonight featuring Toronto FC and the LA Galaxy. How can these Eastern and Western powers contend for trophies? Well, we will let you know as we break down the rosters, the designated players, and the projected lineups. And we are thrilled to be joined by Dwayne Rollins of Sports Podcasting Network and the host of Soccer Today to help us bring a little insight to Toronto FC. Stay tuned for all this and more on the Sons of a Pitch, an American soccer podcast. Hey, soccer fans, this is Nick Pateras, one of your hosts for the Sons of a Pitch, an American soccer podcast. I am joined by my good friend and fellow host, Mike Guglielmi, as we continue to do our 2020 season previews. Before we dive into Toronto FC and the LA Galaxy, I want to recognize a few of you who have joined our conversation on soccer and all things MLS and the American soccer landscape. To all of our new Twitter followers, Big Apple Soccer Agency, Sam Schur, Generation Orange, The Sports Reaction, Inter Miami CF, Hassal, The Future Movement Network, Patrick Haida, The Mad Keepa, John, Lauren Guevara, Inter Miami Family, Chris at the Dupe Scoop, a resident Philly Union expert, as well as Donaldinho, a Toronto FC fan. We thank you all for following us on Twitter and joining our conversation. Additionally, Mike has been putting out video after video for our team previews, and we'd like to thank all of our new YouTube subscribers, Miliana and Miguelito Camacho, Chris Gonzalez, Jose Mera, also to Martin Benjamin de Orion, sorry if I'm butchering that name. Thank you for your comments, for Scudwig Schwartz, Arturo Flores, Kansas Sports TV. Thank you guys. We appreciate you following us along, subscribing, help us grow our conversations and our network. Additionally, Corel David, Nicholas John, Joel Rink, Spit and Fire YT, a wonderful Chicago Fire YouTube channel and podcast. So thanks everyone. We appreciate that. And we're going to now get into all of our content here. We're going to kick it off with a preview of Toronto FC, and we're going to be joined by Dwayne Rollins at 24th Minute on Twitter. And if you know anything about Canadian soccer, you've heard Dwayne Rollins. He's the host of Soccer Today, who puts out weekday podcasts every morning. As well, he is the owner of the Sports Podcasting Network, covering all things Canadian soccer, U.S. soccer, Premier League. He handles everything. So make sure you follow along on your social media for Dwayne Rollins. We're going to dive right into that interview right now.
With the rest of our podcast episode.
Yeah, there are two big headlines that jumped out to me that happened this weekend. The first is coming out of D.C., and that is Paul Arriola tore his ACL in one of their preseason games. He is a player that I've really liked. I think a guy who takes a lot of unfair criticism, especially his time with the USMNT. But he's a speedy winger, a grinder for DC and for the United States. And to see him now gone for the entire season due to an ACL injury, I mean, it sucks as a fan of Paul. It sucks as a fan of DC and the league. And I guess the only positive, if you want to talk positives out of injury, is that the men's national team now has to bring up some other players, and we get to see more people playing in the red, white, and blue. Mike, if put on your DC United fan hat here for a second. Like, when you hear this news, Arriola torn ACL, likely to miss the season, what goes through your mind?
Damn, that sucks. It really does. As a fan, that's crushing. And as a TFC fan, with Michael Bradley being out for 3 to 4 months to start the season, that hurt. So I can only imagine Arriola, who is probably going to contribute more to his team than Bradley does. I mean, let's be serious. Bradley's on the way down for TFC. And Arriola is still kind of on the way up. And to lose him for the most likely the entire season, it's not official yet. He could be back at some point this season. Chances are he probably won't be. But I hate to speculate on it because we just don't know how bad it is. it's really tough news to take, especially in the preseason, right? You're playing a meaningless game, and this happens. It doesn't really make it that much easier when it is a meaningful game. If somebody gets hurt, and it sucks regardless, but it's kind of like that added insult to injury, the fact that it happened in the preseason. So really a tough spot for DC United, but I think they'll be okay. They still have a lot of talent on that team, and they should be able to rebound from that.
Right. The other big headline comes from FC Cincinnati, where their coach Ron Johns has kind of stepped away from coaching duties while an investigation is being done against that the Players Association has levied against FC Cincinnati in the MLS. The MLSPA has accused him of making, quote, extremely inappropriate comments, end quote. I haven't actually read the comments, but based on what I'm getting all up and down, kind of the comment boards and the news feeds and all this other sort of thing, is that there were some racist comments made. So obviously, no place for that anywhere, especially as a head coach in preseason. Like, talking with your team, like, this is insane. So he's being investigated. He stepped away from managerial duties during the course of the investigation. The club has released a statement. They're cooperating with the investigation, wherever else is going on, and doing their part. But how is this going to affect Cincinnati? Like, they came off a league historically worst season last year. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say. League historically worst. And now you think just when they're starting to right the ship, they get a full offseason with their new coach. They bring in a few different players, and then this happens, and the coach has to leave. Like, it's just one train wreck after another for FC Cincinnati. Mike, what were your thoughts when you saw this headline?
I don't know what to make of it. I don't know enough about it. I've seen reports that, he was singing a song in the locker room that had, certain words in it. I don't know what to believe. I'm not running the investigation, so I'll leave that up to them. I think it's right for him to step aside for right now until the investigation is completed. What a way for Cincinnati, who's completely changed up their roster, and we talked a little bit about it in our preview for them. There's some room for optimism, right? You're signing a guy like Jurgen Locadia from Brighton Hove and Albion in the Premier League. You sign a guy like Yuya Kubo. You're making moves all over the field, getting better. This is a time for excitement, getting ready for the first game of the season. And I think it was really put well when we launched our preview on YouTube and put it out on Reddit. The first comment was, I just can't get excited for the season until this thing with the head coach gets resolved, right? It really put a damper into this part of the season for what is an exciting time for FC Cincinnati. They can only go up from how bad things were last year, or at least I would hope. And so to have to deal with this kind of stuff, it's just not necessary. I mean, why things like this shouldn't be happening, right? There's no place in the game for racist comments. Why is this happening in 2020? Let's get on. Let's play some soccer, right? So it'll be interesting to see how it all ends up. But I'm pretty sure they're going to be looking for a new coach, because if they start an investigation on something like that based off the complaints that they've had, I don't see this just ending with everything's fine now. Continue on, go coach. Yeah. Usually that's not how those things work out. So.
Yeah, once you lose the locker room, your time is not long with the team. And he might have very well lost the locker room depending on what exactly was said and what this investigation reveals.
Yep, exactly. Another headline that I want to talk about is Inter Miami signed Rodolfo Pizarro. This one is interesting to me. The fact that this guy was, rumored to be a heavy target for the Chicago Fire. Chicago apparently took like 2 or 3 different swipes at him, increasing their offer, working with Adidas to sign this guy. And then he signs with Miami like a week and a half, 2 weeks later. Is that just a slap in the face to Chicago Fire ownership and their team over there? Were they just not ponying up like Inter Miami was? Is this because of the new coach from Monterrey who had coached Pizarro? before. With Miami, I don't know what to take of it, but it's very interesting. I think he'll be good for the league. He's definitely a good player, but I'm interested to see. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall through the entire negotiation process to kind of see what the thoughts were with Chicago and what the thoughts were with Miami.
Yeah, I'd say D, all of the above, man. He knows the coach in Miami. He knows the reputation of the ownership in Miami. If you're a young guy with lots of money who wants to live in Chicago or Miami, yeah, most people are gonna go with Miami. And then yeah, maybe Chicago just didn't want to splash the cash, or Monterey was saying, look, we know your billionaire new owner has to make a huge move, pony up, otherwise no deal. So I think it was a combination of everything. It was funny was he actually played in a preseason game, scored Miami
Yeah.
first ever Inter Miami goal, Rodolfo Pizarro, and wasn't even a member officially of the roster yet,
Wasn't announced
or of the
yet.
club. Yep. Yeah. So that was kind of a funny little thing, and there's something for you Miami fans to have for trivia for the rest of your club's lifespan here.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, can I make a comment on some strength of schedule talk here? Do we got a few extra minutes?
Hey man, you tell me.
Let's do. All right. Well, real quickly then, Ben Bear over at MLSsoccer.com released a strength of schedule indicator, and it's based on points, your opponent's points away and home from last season. So who has the hardest schedule according to this formula? Sporting Kansas City, a team that we're like, hey, yeah, they've reloaded. They could compete. Nope, now they've got the hardest schedule according to this formula, followed by New England, the Galaxy, Houston, and Portland, and then Vancouver. So those are your hardest schedules. Easiest schedules: Minnesota, Philadelphia, Columbus, DC, and New York City. So it's pretty clear that the Eastern Conference was not good last year and doesn't project well to be good this year. But what's interesting is I caught some flack for saying that the Philadelphia Union are going to regress from their third place finish last year. A lot of Union fans are like, no way, trophies are in our future. We're going to compete for that top spot in the East. Well, they very well could do it if they've got the second easiest schedule based on clubs' performances last season. So I do want to recognize Union fans for that. But it's a kind of interesting way to break down where a team could finish if you factor in their strength of schedule.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the strength of schedule. That never seems to pan out very well from what those projections are to what they actually turn out to be. You're going to have 3 or 4 teams that are going to do much better than is expected. You're going to get 3 or 4 teams that turn it around. I mean, we've done some of these previews with rosters that have 15 guys out and 10 guys in. Now, not all of those are starters. You're going to return some of the same starters. Every club will, but you're going to have turnover. You can't base, I'll take that with a grain of salt. It is what it is. Am I going to go into the game, into the season and say, hey, TFC has the 7th or 8th easiest schedule? Yeah, lock. They're in the playoffs, and it's just because of that. No, that's not going to be a determining factor. It's the players they have on the field and what they're doing. But it is an interesting thing to talk about for sure.
Right. Your TFC is got the 6th, tied for 6th with Dallas, Orlando, as far as the easiest schedule. But really what it can help you is as the article notes, Minnesota, Western Conference, you don't play everyone in the East. Who don't they play this year? New York City, Philadelphia, and Toronto. So that's huge if you've got a Western Conference team who's going to go play all 3 of those teams, which is also the point of some criticism for MLS scheduling, but that is another topic in another episode entirely. And Mike, I'm all tapped out for this episode. What else you got?
Oh, that's it, man. I'm pretty much wrapped up here. So make sure to check us out on our next episode for some more team previews by Inter Miami, Chicago Fire, and Portland Timbers coming at you later on in the week as well. Make sure to go get your swag. So I bought some good swag. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it here. My travel mug, which is awesome. My coffee stays hot for a very long time, and I'm repping Sons of a Pitch, as well as the new hoodie here. So make sure to go out sonsofapitch.redbubble.com and continue to support our podcast. The sales have been rolling in, so we appreciate that and help us grow the brand of soccer here in the United States. Other than that, thanks to our listeners and our viewers. YouTube subscribers have been rolling in. Same with Twitter followers. We appreciate the follow and the subscriptions. Make sure to tune into all of our stuff. And thanks, sponsors, for helping us do what we do. Everybody have a great rest of the evening, and we will talk to you guys very soon with more team previews.